Today I want to share with you guys my top 3 favorite basketball players. And what I mean by my top 3 favorite basketball players are that, these are players who I enjoy watching, who I enjoy rooting for. And this obviously does not really take into account how well they are, how good they are at playing basketball, or what they've done really in their careers. Because you can root for basketball players who maybe aren't the greatest, right? Or who don't put up the best stats. But you root for them regardless. Maybe there's a special reason you root for these players. Maybe, you just like watching them play basketball. It doesn't really matter why you like a basketball player, but you like that basketball player. And honestly, it is, I think everybody has those type of basketball players who they just like regardless, right? And it doesn't really matter if they're a good basketball player or not, but you just like watching them play. Maybe they're funny or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna share with you guys 3 of my favorite basketball players, and I'm just gonna talk about why I like them, why I enjoy watching them play, or why I root for them. And maybe you guys can put in the comments maybe some basketball players who you enjoy regardless of skill level or how well they play or whatnot. So yeah, let's get into the video. So the first player I want to talk about is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is probably my favorite basketball player right now. As of right now, Kevin Durant is my favorite basketball player. And, what I'm basically trying to say is that, I don't really care that Kevin Durant went ring chasing. Does that hurt his legacy? Yeah, sure. Was it a douchebaggy move? Yeah, sure. But I don't care. I mean, he is just so good of a basketball player that I choose to not ignore, some of the decisions he's made, but I choose to put it aside a little bit more, right, than other people. I don't hold a grudge. I don't hold it in my heart against Kevin Durant, right? I mean, if you watch Kevin Durant, he is one of the few basketball players that just can absolutely just take over on the offensive side, right? And what I mean by that is not that he can take over and just absolutely destroy the game, but what I mean is that he is almost perfect on offense. I mean, there's very little Kevin Durant can't do. There's very little he can't do. I mean, if you need him to post up, he can. You need him to shoot the mid-range, he can. You need him to hit a 3, he can. You need him to, maybe facilitate a little bit, he can do that. I mean, he has so little weaknesses to his offensive game. It is actually incredible. When you watch him play, it's like no matter what, you can always rely on Kevin Durant to put the ball in the basket. Or to score. I mean, really, for that matter. I mean, he is, one of those guys that it looks so easy. Scoring is just so easy for him. He has no problem, putting the ball in the hoop, and it's just a pleasure watching him play basketball. I mean, on defensively, he's slowly improved, throughout his career. Obviously, he's not a great defender. I don't say he's a great defender, but he's a really, really decent defender, right? Somebody you can, you can rely on to at least, play competent defense. And it really is just a joy to watch Kevin Durant play basketball. I mean, it sucks that he's hurt now, but I can't wait for him to suit up. I know he plays for the Nets. I'm a Knicks fan myself. But I have no hate for Kevin Durant. I mean, I have all love for Kevin Durant. I don't really care what he's done outside of basketball, what kind of basketball decisions he's made. But when you talk about just playing basketball, oh man, I can watch Kevin Durant play basketball all day, and I won't get bored of it. I won't. I mean, it's something that obviously I wish he was on the Knicks. He was rumored to come here. Obviously, he didn't come here. What was I bummed out? Sure, but I like Kevin Durant as a basketball player so much that I don't really care what he's really done, because when he suits up and when he's playing, it just puts a smile on my face. There's nothing really more to say other than that. So my second favorite player is Frank Ntilikina. Obviously, before I just said I was a Knicks fan, and yeah, Frankie Smokes, the French Prince. is one of my top favorite players to root for. Now, you know, among the Knicks fan base, I would, I've come to notice that, people either really like Frank Ntilikina or people really hate Frank Ntilikina. And I like Frank Ntilikina camp. I really do like Frank. Well, is he a good player? So far he hasn't really shown much of anything really. I mean, he's shown that he's a versatile defender, and a pretty good one for that matter. And he's shown small sparks that he can, contribute on the offensive side of the ball. And you know what? I get why people are frustrated, obviously, with Frank, because we selected him pretty high, 8th overall, I'm pretty sure. And really, for the 3 years I think he's been here, he really hasn't done much. And that's a fair point, right? And I can see why people say, don't like him, right? He's a high draft pick. He hasn't really done anything, and I get it. But I like to root for the underdog, right? I like rooting for the people that a majority of the other people don't like, right? There's a lot of people in the Knicks fan base, and I guess in just in NBA in general, who don't really like Frank Ntilikina. They think he's a bum or he's no good, and you know what? That's probably the truth, right? It's probably the truth, but I feel Frank is somebody who, he really does have the potential. And look, I know all people, the Frank haters, are like, oh yeah, you guys talk about he has potential. It's been 3 years, he hasn't shown anything, and I can agree with that, right? He hasn't shown anything, but you know what? I don't care. I just like rooting for him. I don't know what it is, but I just like rooting for him. I mean, he's one of those players that you really want to succeed, right? I really want him to succeed. Why? One, because I can stick it to all the other Knicks fans, and two, he genuinely seems like a nice guy. He genuinely seems like a nice guy, and it's not really his fault where he got drafted. I mean, when he was playing in France, he was he was playing against grown men. He already shown that he was a pretty good defender. He was a decent offensive player. And he was just really raw, right? He's really raw. He's long, lengthy, he's tall, but it hasn't really translated, right? It hasn't really translated, and it's he's running out of time. He really is running out of time. But you know what? I don't care regardless if he stays on the team or he doesn't stay on the team. If he's a starter or whatever, I'm still gonna root for him, because he's a great guy. I would love to see him blossom and grow, but if he never does that, I don't really care. You know what? It's something that I like to do is, I just like, I guess, what do you call it? Yeah, okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, regardless, right? Regardless of how Frank is, because he's such a polarizing player in the Knicks fan base, that I really hope Frank succeeds. And I'm rooting for him. Go Frank. Hey, the better he does, the better. Even if he doesn't do well, look, I don't care. He's kind of like Kevin Durant in the way that I just like watching him play. Right, regardless of if he's a bum or not, or he's good or he's bad, I just like watching him play. When I watch him play, you know what? I smile, and I think that's the most important thing. So my third player I have on my mind today is Porzingis, and yes, another former Knicks player. Porzingis is somebody who, nobody really knew about him coming into the NBA. Nobody really knew about him. When the Knicks picked him fourth, obviously one of the biggest memes was the Knicks fans booing him. I'm in the camp that regardless of what people think of a player when they get drafted, I will root for them until they prove me otherwise, right? They have to give me a reason to not root for them, right? Like, sure, you know what? You could pick a random player. I don't really care. Even if the analysts go, oh, well, he's a bad pick. That's a bad pick. I don't really care. For me, I only judge them until they've actually played games. And obviously Porzingis, I think, won over the Knicks fan base rather quickly. I mean, in his rookie season, he was pretty good. He was pretty good. And obviously, I was pretty disappointed and sad when he left New York, when he got traded. Obviously, the rumors were that he was sick and tired of playing for the Knicks. He wanted to be he wanted to be traded, and he was unhappy here, and so the Knicks traded him. And well, there's nothing I as a fan you can really do about that. And I have to admit, when that whole fiasco happened about a year or 2 years ago, there was a point where I was like, damn, like, man, I really don't like Porzingis. I had a sticker of him on my laptop that I removed from my laptop and I threw away. But maybe after a couple of months or something, I was like, you know what? Why am I hating on Porzingis for, right? The Knicks have been a travesty of an organization for the last 10, 15 years anyway. I can definitely see why players don't want to come here, don't want to play here, and I can't even fault anybody for it. So I can't really fault Porzingis for feeling like, man, I'm stuck in this terrible organization and I'm getting nowhere. I can definitely see his side of the story, so I'm not going to get on him for that, because there's nothing to get on him for. That's just facts. I think if you're a Knicks fan and you can't admit that, then you're delusional. But yeah, I really have nothing but love for Porzingis. Honestly, he's probably one of the best things to happen to the Knicks in the last 10, 15 years, and we kind of screwed it up. We screwed it up, and it sucks. It really sucks, right? Really, outside of Porzingis, there was only maybe 1 or 2 good years when we had Melo. That year when we went to the playoffs as the 2nd seed behind the Miami Heat. Other than that, it's been a travesty. The Knicks have been a travesty. So, yeah, but Porzingis, obviously the unicorn. He can kind of do everything on offense. He's a good shot blocker as well. And I hope he blossoms in Dallas. I really do. Him and Luka are gonna tear up the league, and I just can't wait for that to happen. So those are 3 of my favorite basketball players in the NBA right now. All 3 players, I think there are definitely what I want to call just opinions about each player. I think all 3 are pretty polarizing players. For KD, you either like KD or you really don't. I don't think there's really much of a middle ground. Same thing for Frank, and Porzingis in general as well. But yeah, those are my 3 favorite basketball players. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, leave a like. Maybe again comment who you like as your favorite basketball players, regardless of how good of a basketball player they are. And yeah, and subscribe as well. And I'll catch you guys next time.